Okay. So
Nice.
this year, I guess I don't need to record right now, but okay.
Perfect.
I'd like to welcome everybody to the 2Rivers Festival. This is an event called Whatever Floats Your Boat, sponsored by Trout Canada. I get it?
Trout Unlimited Canada.
Trout Unlimited Canada. Thank you. You're really helpful today, even.
Thank you.
So our theme this year is the confluence of the rivers, peoples, and stories. And this event is part of the 10th annual 2Rivers Festival that celebrates and appreciates the Speed and the Aramasa rivers. Our thanks to Trout Unlimited for sharing their passion for our rivers with you, and thanks to all of you for attending this event. The festival is organized and run by volunteers and involves many community organizations. Please support these organizations that are doing good work in our community. And please also support our advertisers and our event sponsors, CFRU, Mike Schreiner, and Mickey Shepard, who made this event possible. You can see all our advertisers on our website and in our newsletters. We have over 40 great events, and we're about 2/3 of the way through. So please have a look and RSVP to the ones that are of interest. And note when you're looking up the events that some are virtual and a few now in the next 2 weeks may be occurring in person. So please make sure you check carefully which format the event will be. This festival is a project of the Wellington Water Watchers, and we hope that if we fall in love with our rivers, we'll want to further protect them. Now, we are recording these events to share, and if you do not feel comfortable with that, please let me know, or please turn off your video so that it won't be included. We also have a live transcript at the bottom if you need help. I'd like to, before I introduce the speaker, to start with the land acknowledgement for the 2Rivers Festival. So we're on land. This takes place situated on land that's situated within the Dish with One Spoon treaty lands between the Anishinaabe, the Mississaugas, and the Haudenosaunee that bound them to share the territory and protect the land. Here in these river valleys, we have learned that the Attawandaron, or neutral peoples, were also among the original stewards of the land and waters. We'd like to recognize the enduring presence of Aboriginal peoples on this land and the history of the First Nations people and the neighboring First Nation, Métis, and Inuit. Today, there are a wide number of Indigenous people who call this territory home under the Haldimand Tract Treaty with the Mississaugas of the New Credit. So I'd like to now turn over our meeting to Evan, and he'll introduce himself. He's from Trout Unlimited Canada, and he'll tell you about Trout Unlimited and what they're doing for our rivers.
Thank you, Suzanne. Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Evan Kenna. I'm very excited to be here today. I believe this is going to be my 3rd year hosting this event in partnership with the 2Rivers Festival. So first of all, thank you so much for having us back for a 3rd year in a row. Unfortunately, due to the COVID conditions, we couldn't be in the rivers like we did on our very first year, where we were actually out building a boat and getting kids their feet wet and kind of experiencing what it is like to just be within the waterways and seeing our work. But this is the next best thing. So today I will be showing you how to build a biodegradable boat out of just an egg carton. All you need is an egg carton and scissors. And before we get started, I'll just give you a little brief introduction about myself, is that I am the Secretary, Treasurer, and one of the executive members at Trout Unlimited Canada. So we are a conservation group within Guelph that we really try to just renaturalize cold water body systems, just to get back to the closest we can before industrialization, and just to kind of help out the community and our waterways, because Guelph is a massive cold water, groundwater city. We have a lot of different rivers, like the 2 Rivers, that run through this beautiful city we have. And for myself personally, I just love the environment and just getting out there and just, being in the rivers and feeling the water and just feeling the nature. It's just something that I'm very, very passionate about. So I'll get into more about Trout Unlimited, what we do within the Speed Valley later. But for right now, let's move over to our little boat demonstration. So before we get started, all you need is an egg carton. And we use an egg carton because biodegradable. If it does get away in stream when you go put this in water, it will biodegrade in time. Ideally, it won't, and make sure we collect everything we put into the waterways to make sure that we leave no trace of being within the water. So what we need is one egg carton and then one pair of scissors. So I'm just going to slightly bend this down so you can see what I'm doing. And for any young ones out there, if you are going to use scissors, please ask your parents' permission first, as they are sharp. And if you need help, it's okay to ask them, and just to make sure that you're being safe, because scissors can be sharp if you're not sure how to use them. So what we do to begin is just very simply, just open up your egg carton. And you'll have these 3 sections. You'll have your top, you'll have where the eggs sit, and then you'll have this little flap section on the side that closes your carton. So very first, you want to just take off and divide these into the 3 sections. So just with your scissors, just cut that straight line. If you want to be a little bit more hands-on, you can kind of just like rip it off and be able to, bend it. And luckily cardboard is very malleable, so you could just like tear it off if you would like to. I like to use some scissors. So there's that one section that will be used. Then again, you cut the top from where the eggs sit, using your scissors, or if you want, you can just kind of lightly rip it off. I love the feel of the cardboard, because it's just like, it feels, like it's very sturdy, and they do a lot of processing to get it kind of like nice like this. Okay, so you have your 3 sections. This will be your base, where the eggs sit. This will be your mast or sail that will end up going across. And then this is going to be I would say your support. So the first thing you'd like to do is move your top and the support off to the side, because we're not going to use that right now. And whatever way you would like as your front, here we go, just a little bit of a better angle here. Is that okay, Suzanne?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to consider this the front that is away from me. And all you want to do with your scissors is make a cut in the corner going down to the base on each side at the front. So now all you have is a cut on each side, and then this will be the very front of your boat that we're trying to make into a point, because it is now a rectangle and we wanted to make it more into a triangle. So very simply, you just kind of fold this in on each of these little flaps, and just using pressure, they'll just sit like this. So again, on your other side, you just fold it in, and then that just becomes more of a point. And that, in my mind, has become a little bit more, I want to say aerodynamic, but it's in water, so it's not air. It's just more about being able to move through the water a little bit better. So that is step 1, getting the front. Now, for where the mast is going to sit within this egg carton, keeping it the same way, you want to go to your second bump in. There's probably a name for this, which I don't know, but this bump right here, what we're going to do is cut a few downward cuts across, as this mast is going to sit within the egg carton. So taking your scissors again, what you're going to do is make some downwards vertical cuts across the egg carton right to the base. And as you can see, hopefully there's some ridges in here. I just cut right down. I don't know if that's clear, right down into this little ridge at the bottom here. From the center, I've cut down, and now from the sides as well, I'm going to cut down. And this is where your sail will be sitting within your egg carton. So on one side, I've cut down, and now from this side, I'm going to do it as well. Okay, And you want to make sure, because if you're cutting down, now this is going to be a little bit of a weak point, but it will get strong again because I had to cut down on each side. So on all there is just a little piece in the middle here that's keeping this together. So you want to make sure not to cut that little piece off and adjust your sides down to that point. Okay, so next thing, it's the face again. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the top and make it into a mast. Depending on what kind of egg carton you use, I realized this morning that mine have holes in it. And this is where the air is going to be hopefully adding some speed to your boat. I realize with the holes in it, it might not be as effective. However, I still think it'll look pleasing. So I take the sections that had the connector on the egg carton and I consider that down. So that will be facing down into the boat. What I do is now on my downward side, I just make some vertical cuts in the corner to make this flap straight so it will fit into the boat. So I just do a cut on each side, making sure that you're being safe with your scissors and you're watching your fingers. So now all I'm doing is I'm just bending it flat. And you're just lightly bending it down and this cardboard is nice and firm and it's making it a lot easier to be straight. So now what I have is this section of the top, and I apologize if it's not great view, but now you see it's no longer bent like this front. See, the front was bent up. This side is no longer bent up. It's just a flat downward piece. Before we put this in, we need to make one cut, which is a lot easier to do before it's on the boat. So roughly center, what I like to do is I'll just kind of line the mast up in the center of the boat, and you don't have to be too accurate about this. You just roughly look for center, which I'm going to consider is right here. And being very careful, you need to make a cut in the top for the piece to anchor itself into the mast, which I will show in a minute. But as you can see, I just made a really small cut, and this might need to be bigger, but this is just where your support will come into play. So now, oh, I love this part. It's quite exciting. It's when you put the sail into the boat. So as where you cut on the egg carton, you just start lightly and slowly working your mast into the egg carton. And all this is doing is that this is going to be your sail, the section that's going to catch the wind. So now we have, oh, it's coming into shape. This is, I like this part. This is where it's getting exciting. So you have your mast now, or your sail. I think it's a sail, not a mast. Sorry about that. So you have your cut in the middle, and what we're going to do is we're now going to put our support in. You can't really see the cut, but it's really up here. Your next, I'm going to have to turn this the opposite way. So now the front of the boat is towards me. The last bump, you need to do a vertical downwards cut to be able to sit your support in the back, like so. It'll end up looking something like this with a vertical cut down, and this piece will be your support system. So what I'm gonna do is I take my scissors again, I make a cut, and then at the very back, I just make a little notch for it to sit in, and be very careful. Again, if you need your parents' help, please ask. And what you want to do is you just make a little cut, and that's where this piece will sit. Now, as you can see, this is a rectangle. All I'm going to do is on the back end, that's going to be in the back of your boat, I'm going to cut it on a 45-degree angle, which is just kind of making it more into a triangle like so. So now you have that triangle here. And on the front end, we're going to do an opposite cut. So as we did it downwards this way on the top, we're going to do it downwards on the bottom. So it's kind of more of a, what was that? Would it be a parallelogram, I think? It's been a long time since I've done geometry. So this section is going to be your support. It'll nestle into your back areas that you cut. And again, you may need to make it a little bigger. you may need to make your holes like I have to right now. So this one so I had this cut down and then a little notch at the back. The notch at the back needs to just be a little bit bigger, just so it will sit in. And now I'm taking my support and I'm sticking it in the back of the boat. Oh, there it goes. And that's a nice, it'll just kind of nestle in there, and you can either just play it by feel and just cut it in a little bit. And now we need to figure out if the front. So as you can see, it's a little bit too long. It's a little bendy here. So all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna roughly do it by eye. So it's sticking above, and I'm just gonna say, okay, I'm gonna take off this much, maybe a ½ inch, maybe a little bit less, just to make it look a little bit better. And now it's gonna stick in to the notch that we initially made. And there is our boat. So now, thank you. So let me just show this with not such a angle on the eyes. As you can see, we have created what I would call a Viking ship. Your front is a little bit more aerodynamic. You have a support system right here that will keep your sail up. And if you have a little bit more cardboard, you could just maybe make the tall mast that would stick out the top. You could add anything you want. And I just want to say, like, this is just a starting point. This is just to give you ideas. We at Trout Unlimited, we just want people to interact with our waterways and just be aware that Guelph is such a beautiful community with water flowing through it. So whatever it is to get out, if you want, as long as it's biodegradable and you make sure you pick up after yourself, we really just encourage everyone to get out in the water.
So could you make it out of one of those cardboard egg cartons?
This over here, I made a little mock-up the other day, and this is what a lot of cardboard is made out of, but it just has plastic sheen on it. So anything like this,
Okay.
I would be very hesitant to put in the. I'm not as confident as this one, as this is very much, I know if it'll float, however, if it gets completely saturated, it'll just dissolve. So just be very conscious of the.
Certainly not a plastic egg carton. You wouldn't want people using those
Not a
clear
plastic egg carton, no.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're using those, you can definitely reuse them in other ways, but please keep them out of the waterways, as we want to keep clean and healthy system. So yeah, that is our boat. I'm very proud of this boat. I love it, and I think it'll just really sail the high seas and kind of make its way downriver.
And if somebody were to color on that boat, would that be bad for the water too?
Oh, that's
to put crayons or dissolvable paint, would that be bad too, or markers, do you think?
It really depends on the material. That's actually a really nice, really good question, and that's something that you would want to look up before you put in our waters. That if it's anything biodegradable is really where you want to go, because if it's like paint that dissolves in water, however, it might have synthetic materials in it. So yeah, you just be very conscious of what you're putting on it. But yeah, like if you can put rocks in it, you can put sticks on it, as long as you're not destroying anything when you're out there. And we just like to leave the waterways as we found them, is our really the motto that I would like to live by. But yeah, make it your own, have fun with it. And you don't even need to do it this way, and just kind of like figure it out. Like I was looking up ways to make an origami sailboat, and that's just right out of paper. So it really just depends on and it's just creativity. It's just, have fun with it and just enjoy. It's just a lot of fun. I live right off of the Speed River, and I love walking along the trail close to the water and just looking at all the wildlife and the birds, and it's just a pleasure to be out in our natural beauty of Guelph.
Okay, good.
Okay,
thank you.
You're welcome. So I think this is the time where I'll switch over to our little presentation that we have about Trout on the Mini Canada.
Okay. It's good.
You
Showing.
can see my screen? Okay,
Yep.
wonderful. So, are you seeing the slideshow? Or are you seeing my presenter screen?
I'm seeing your presenter screen.
Okay, then let me do this. Are you now seeing the slideshow?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. I can't take that off. Okay.
It is going to make it full screen.
There we go. Perfect. So we are Trout Unlimited Canada, and we are specifically the Speed Valley chapter. So we operate out of Guelph, and we're very fortunate as the Ontario Biologist headquarters, and the headquarters for, I believe, Eastern Canada is out of Guelph. So we do have a lot of support, and we're very fortunate that we are able to rely on some of the national I'm in construction technology as well as a student at the University of Waterloo, and we have a lot of people that work within different conservation authorities and just walks of all life. And that's really what we want to encourage, just different people coming out and just really the ideal person to just want to be a part
of. Evan, you're breaking up a little bit. Maybe if you turn off your video, it might help.
Off my video, that is
It's still breaking up. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Okay, that's better.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay. I just wanted to make sure our recording's good of what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. So we are and we want to conserve systems. And as we do our ecosystems with cold water, we view the trout, especially the trout species, as an indicator species to kind of give a health check of the water. So if there's brook trout present within an ecosystem, we believe that that's a good indication that the ecosystem as a whole is quite healthy, as they do live within a very tight margins for water temperature. So as water temperature is increasing with climate change, it is affecting the and we are just trying to keep track of how they are surviving as an overall indicator of the cold water within our community. Interesting. So this is our catchment areas for our Speed Valley. So as you can see, Guelph's right at the center, and all of our volunteers aid in the mission of rehabilitation streams within the Speed Valley. And these are a few of the activities, and I love and I'm very proud that we are a small chapter. However, we do a lot of in-stream renaturalizations and rehabilitations, that we really are a hands-on chapter, and we put a lot of human time and capital into just being in the waters and trying to renaturalize. So as you can see, channel narrowing. So if a river is too wide, it'll start to slow down and sediment can build up, and that's not ideal habitat for trout. So what we really try to do is that we'll make the channel narrow, which actually creates a deeper, faster water, and that is the ideal waterways for trout to live in. So these are a few of the in-stream projects that we like to work on. And this was before our chapter kind of got a new kickstart. So this is up off of Highway 6, and we were able to remove a dam which renaturalized the Martin Creek section. So if you are heading north and on Highway 6, right outside of Guelph. You'll is the area that we revitalize. Store them, and we're able to use these Christmas trees to create an area to trap the sediment to then narrow the channel. So this is actually what we do is we take a whole bunch of old Christmas trees and we tie them together, and we use, as you can see in the upper left-hand corner, there is a bunch of twine, a bunch of pegs. So nothing is being introduced to the waterways that would be harmful. And this is ideally to create a new flow for the river. And I believe where everybody's standing is where the river is running through, and on the right hand side is the that we want to become a bank again. So that's what it looks like. So if you can see there, this is where all those Christmas trees are. I don't know if you noticed that, but that, and see how it's very wide here. So it became very slow, and it was and then this whole area, this would become a bank, and then this over time just becomes a part of the bank, and it's all just natural materials that we're using. And water temperature and fish population monitoring, and this is something that we enjoy doing, and we get out and we just are trying to keep track of if our efforts are working, where we need to concentrate, if any fish are at sites that we're working on, how to least impact the populations that are currently there, and just giving an overall idea of the current state of brook trout within our waterways. So this would be a wing deflector. So when there's a area that is not as big as we need to fill in, like the sediment mat, what we do is kind of the similar idea. We put a bunch of dead wood, brambles, just kind of anything that we can create a new section or a new bank, and just make this section of the river fast and flowing where brook trout can really thrive. Oh, look at that's a great picture of one of the trouts that we were able to monitor. So this is electrofishing presence absence study. So we started in 2018, 2019, and this is a great way to just check out if what's happening within the rivers for the brook trout. So we were able to go out and just monitor the health and how many were there, and we were able to count. And ideally, over time, as we move forward, we're hoping to see more brook trout, more juveniles, more nesting, reds, which is the nest that a brook trout will make. And luckily this year, one of our social distance events was just a few of our chapter executives went out and we actually did a red survey, and we were able to identify quite a few nests for brook trout within the areas of the Hanlon Creek. So there are brook trout there. They're very small, but they are coming back to the waterways, which we are very, very proud of.
And could you tell us where is the Hanlon Creek?
Okay, so let me just pull up a map. Let me just,
because some people might think the Hanlon is only an expressway.
Right. Can you see this map there? This is just Google Maps. Are you able to see that?
Not yet, no.
Oh.
I can see the slide.
Okay, hold on one second. Let me just reshare my screen.
I just thought people might like to know where that is.
Okay. What are you seeing now, Suzanne? I'm so sorry.
The same slide.
Oh, look at this. Technical issues.
I know. Sorry to interrupt. I just thought it might be a good
No.
thing to let people know, because you're in the woods, and
Yeah, we are in the woods.
that's where some of the walkways have been constructed to protect the trout, has it not?
It really has. So I need to find where it just went.
Oh, there's a nice colored map.
Oh yeah, that's
of
biomes. That's biomes of the world. This is my home screen. I really am interested in how biomes of the world are. It's a little stretched out as I have a very large vertical map right now, but let me just do this.
Okay.
Let me go to maps. So we're on Google
Are we
right
on
now.
Google Earth?
We are on Google Maps. So
Okay.
here is Guelph as a whole. So I will
good.
give you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I'll give you a little bit of an idea. So you saw the map before that we shared of where we work, but really within Guelph, we have Highway 6 up here. So one of the Martin Creek, this is where the sediment mat that I was talking about is. Just in here within this waterway of Martin Creek that flows into the Speed, which then comes down, and then there's your air massa that comes in. Hopefully I'm correct about those two waterways. Okay, so as you can see now, Hanlon Creek is in our southwest section of Guelph. So you have the Hanlon Expressway, and then you have, this is the off-leash dog park. So you see all those lovely dogs running around and having a good time. Right. And let me change over to satellite as it gives us a little better idea. So this is all of the Hanlon Creek, and we do work within this whole boundary here. This would be this would be the off-leash dog park, but this is the area that we do work, and we go throughout in different areas to identify some of our tributaries that need assistance. So we did a few, I believe we did some, what was that? Some bank rehabilitation here. And then we're kind of identifying new areas within here, as this is a very common area that people like to walk. It's just a big open field. And there are, there's a stream that runs through here that we are interested in potentially doing some work on. But for right now, a lot of our efforts. Is that the
Hanlon Creek?
So Hanlon Creek is, I would say, the overall, there's many different tributaries. I believe there is A through F that we have identified that kind of flow all different areas, as like I'm kind of roughly showing you with my mouse here. They're kind of like all through here. And then what happens is it goes under the highway, and then it flows down into the Speed. I believe it'll go this way into the Speed, and it connects to here. So a lot of our work is in the area where there's a lot of urbanization, and so that's where we really concentrate. So we're gonna do a lot of put a lot of effort into Hanlon Creek, and we want to let the community know there. I believe it's called Friends of the Hanlon. We're gonna have a little article within their newsletter. So thank you, Friends of the Hanlon, for having us in there. And it's just really interesting. And we would like to make sure that the community knows what we're doing and how our efforts are just helping the cold water ecosystems, because there's a lot of groundwater that comes up in this area and is a very ecologically important section of our city. And I just find it's gorgeous. I can't believe that Guelph has so many beautiful, beautiful areas that we're able to go into and help out. So now let me go back. Yeah, go ahead.
A lot of the high school students help with building those walkways over the tributaries, don't they?
Yeah, I forget his name, but he there's a gentleman in Guelph who's put a lot of effort into all the paths, the footpaths, and we work with them in conjunction to just kind of figure out what's the best way to keep people on the paths and trout
Yeah,
in the river. So it's just really,
that
it's really great that they're putting that effort in to make sure that people have a proper footpath and we're not continually disturbing waterways.
that David Beaton.
I believe so. Yeah, I've never met him personally, but that may be him. And I apologize if.
I went on a walk with him once down there. I was quite interested in that area. It's beautiful.
It's gorgeous. I used to live very close to the Hanley Creek, and I love doing the walk out there. I just got a little puppy, so hopefully soon I can go out to the
Oh,
off leash dog park and join that great community. But it's a very beautiful part of the city, and it's very large, that section of our community, that we have like this natural forest within a city. It's just gorgeous. So that was
thanks,
us
Evan.
with. Oh, no
I'm
problem. So that was.
sorry to distract your slideshow, but
Oh,
I just thought that would be good
please
to
don't.
tell
No,
people.
I really appreciate that. It's actually helpful to know. And I'm a very visual person, and I like maps. So I thank you for just asking that, because it's helpful to know where in Guelph we're trying to concentrate. So this is
That's right.
Hanlon Creek. And these are a few of our executives on the right, and they're just going through and doing a quick electrofish. Unfortunately, I do not know much about electrofish, but I do know it is very safe for the fish, and they just become temporarily immobilized. We can catch them, and then they're directly put back into the waterways, and they keep living a happy, healthy life. Let's go here. So this is another project that we have done, and it's just trying to make sure that the waterways are not impeded by falling debris. A lot of the thing, because in nature, trees fall down eventually and become a part of the ecosystem when they're rotting, and other organisms can live in them. However, if too many fall perpendicular to the waterway, it actually will create issues for trout movement, for sediment piling up in one area, and it changes the way that the channel actually flows. So all we try to do is, like in the center picture here, is just make sure that it's going to continue being a smooth flowing waterway, so that the trout are easily being able to move, and the water maintains a good ecosystem for them. So that's really all we're doing, is we're just taking some of these bigger that will really block the flow. We try to, luckily our biologists come and identify which ones need to be moved. It's not like we're just going out and just starting to move trees. We have experts that say these fallen trees are the ones that we would like to see moved, and this is how we would like the bank to be. They calculate, this is actually, it's all based on science and how a river flows. So it's not like we're out there just figuring it as we go. We have experts and biologists that actually go out, view these sites first, and actually will say, this is the angle we want with the water flow, and this is what we're hoping to get. So it's very much driven by science, and we rely heavily on those biologists to suggest how we build and remove certain debris from waterways. And this is just afterwards. We're just trying to test the flow to see if it's working out. And I believe that's just a ping pong ball that we let flow out right there. And then we all were really excitedly looking at it flow downstream.
And if you had your egg carton boat, you could have put it on there.
You could have put it on there, and you could test out how fast your carton moves down the waterway. So here's a beautiful picture of a trout. I love trout. It's just they're so pretty. I just think they're really, really a great looking fish. So now, I believe this is Ontario wide. What we call it SWAT, the Small Watershed Action Team, and this, I believe, began. I think it was the first year for us were in 2018, but we did 2018, 2019, 2020. Unfortunately, we were not able to secure the funding for it, and COVID was very hard on our chapter. However, this is what we accomplished. So this team moves throughout Ontario and helps local chapters accomplish projects that may be on the scope of what our volunteers can do. So they're paid staff, and they go out and they kind of either identify areas for us that we could concentrate on in the future. They may be able to go out and really just do a 1 day's work where it may take volunteers, over a course of 4 days to get something done, where they can go out and just concentrate completely on one project and really get it done. And it's been actually amazing to see, because there's a lot of things that we would really like to do and are very important for our chapter goals. However, they can go out and just get it done for us, and it's just a great task force that they've put together that has been helping out all the Ontario chapters accomplish some goals, like I said, beyond what volunteers could do. And this is something that happened in 2019. So this is actually within Hanlon Creek. There was the weir, and it's been removed. Unfortunately, we do not have the pictures of the weir removal, but this has been very crucial, because this was blocking access of trout moving to the south side of Hanlon Creek and underneath the highway to continue on to the Speed. So we're really trying to make sure that Speed River up into Hanlon, where they can go and nest and create juvenile fish, is a clear system that they can run up and down and this year. So we're starting to put out a quarterly newsletter, just giving some updates on how we're doing as a, connection is unstable. Can you hear me? Still hear me, Suzanne?
I can now, yeah. It cuts out occasionally just for a short time. But
Oh, I'm so sorry. So we are
okay.
putting up a quarterly newsletter, and we've had a few changes throughout our organization. One of our longstanding presidents, she had to step down as she just had a newborn, and obviously had bigger commitments than our volunteer, but she's still very much active. So we have elected a new president, we've elected a new vice president, and we're just having some really great changes within our executive leadership, and we're just figuring out what the next year is going to look like. As 2020, we couldn't get in stream due to COVID, and we're really trying to grow through partnerships throughout Guelph. So one of them that I'd like to bring forward right now is the Guelph Pollinators. We were very fortunate to secure a grant where we are going to be working within Hanlon Creek, and they've been able to secure some funding for us to be able to do some planting along banks, to be able to help, first of all, with bringing pollinators into the area that we will be planting. And secondly, it helps the water temperature as it blocks the sun from directly hitting the water, which will increase its temperature. So the one thing that we would want to concentrate on is if there's any long runs of stream that are directly in the sun's rays, we would like to do some planting on the side that is, I guess, sun heavy, wherever that may be, and plant enough that is now hitting the flowers and the species that we will be planting to then help our waterways. So it's very much a win-win situation for the Guelph pollinators, as they will be getting more flowers and plants out, and it was a very big help to us, as it will cool down water temperatures, ideally, as the years go on.
And would you recommend members of the public to plant things along the river, or would you rather they ask you?
I wouldn't,
so they know what plants to put
that
are best for the river.
So yeah, I believe so. Yeah. So again, like, we really rely heavily on science. It is one of our pillars as a Trout Unlimited. So as volunteers, we really look towards our professionals that say these are the species that are, first of all, their natural habitats are within Ontario. They're not invasive species, and they're going to positively impact the ecosystem as a whole, and not just positively impact that one species. And so to your point, it was very much a science-led initiative, and I wouldn't just go out and start planting things or ripping out
Okay.
any flowers, because it's just myself. I don't know. So I really look towards our professionals to say, these are what the species that we should be putting in. This is where we should be putting them. This is how many we should be putting. And it's very much
Okay.
a thought out process.
Okay.
So yes, it's, what is that called? Guerrilla gardening, I believe that's called, where you go out and just kind of do your own thing throughout the community. But it's very much, yeah, a science-led initiative, and we're very fortunate to have partnered with Guelph Pollinators, who were able to secure funding for us to get that going. So yeah, this kind of brings us to the end of our slideshow here. So please, if anybody's interested in Trout Unlimited Canada, please come out, join the executives. I honestly saw this logo, and I love wildlife, and I thought, what is Trout Unlimited Canada? And I went into the office, and I'm like, what are you guys? And they explained to me, and then the next weekend I was out in the river systems, and then like a month later I was on the executive board, because I just thought it was just such a wonderful idea, and it's just helping out our community, and I wanted to just help in any way that I could. So if you're interested in this kind of satisfies something within you that you want to just be within nature, like, please come out. It's just a wonderful, so I love it. I think I have a great time every time we get together. And if you do want to donate, and just if you want to donate, just please specify that Speed Valley chapter within your donation, because $20 of the $40 yearly membership will go towards our chapter, and that's very helpful for us to pursue initiatives that we need. Unfortunately, as a volunteer group, we need funding to kind of perform some of our tasks. But the bright side is, a lot of the things that we use are all natural products, and they have costs, but it's very much, we do rely on donations. So if you are wanting to donate, it's just please specify Speed Valley chapter, as 50% will go towards our local chapter here.
So I have another question, Evan.
Of course.
That logo,
yes,
looks like fishing. What do you say about fishing for the trout?
Okay. And here's the thing.
Is that something you could comment on?
Yeah, I can comment on that for sure. So I love to fish. I love to fly fish. There's a few people within our organization that are big fisher people. However, so first of all, that's what got me interested, because I really like to fish, and I was very interested. The work we do within Guelph is not concentrated on fishable trout, because they are very small. The waterways are very small. It's a really sensitive populations that we're dealing with. So any removal that isn't natural and isn't and if it's human-led, if it's anthropogenic impacts, that hurts the sensitive species that in the populations that we're working with, as it's just recovering. When we did our survey within Hanlon Creek, I think we saw 6 potential nests, and we couldn't confirm them because we did not see spawning trout on the nests. However, we are noticing that there is trout making nests. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're spawning, but it is a good indicator that they're definitely there. So yeah, so for fishing, I would, within the areas that we are working with, it is very, I wouldn't suggest doing it. And I love to fish, and I'm a fisher person. There are different areas within Guelph that you can. However, I would highly suggest other areas other than Hanlon Creek, as it is a sensitive population, and we're working very hard to get it back, working its way back up. However, Guelph is a beautiful community. I know that, like, I go out to Guelph Lake. I've fished on the Aramasa. I see people fishing down by the boathouse in Guelph. So it's very interesting that you can fish within the city, but make sure you have your permits and everything's up to date, and you're using the right equipment, and making sure you're checking the provincial fishing guide on water bodies and what is accepted, especially if you're going up by Fergus, which is out of our catchment area, but there are areas that you cannot use barbed hooks. So just be very aware of where you're fishing, what zone you're in, and what season is fishable and species can be catched.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure people understood these. This isn't a trout farm.
This is not a trout farm. No, we're the opposite. We are trying to bring the limited amount of trout back to somewhat of a stable size. And it would be lovely to see one day, you'd be able to go out and actually see trout swimming around. However, right now that is not it's hard. They're hard to see. They're hard to see a brook trout in particular. So we want to bring them back into the areas that we're working on. And it would be a joy of mine to one day be able to see some good sized brook trout swimming throughout the Hamlet Creek.
Because you know that around the turn of the century, the Speed River was called one of the best trout streams in Canada.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I'm a heritage person. I have a picture of some boys fishing from Edinburgh Road.
Oh, that's nice.
And that was used in I don't know what magazine it was, but it said Guelph, Speed River, the best in Canada. So that's what you want to bring it back to, right?
Yeah, it would be really nice. And especially within areas because of urbanization and Guelph is expanding rapidly. There's less water recharge, there's more concrete, so water runs off quicker, and that brings in any kind of pollutants that we're using on the roadways. It gets swept into the storm drains, so there's a lot of impacts that unfortunately is the byproduct of human expansion. However, all we're trying to do is just help out the ecosystem. I would say I'm a naturalist. I just want things to at least stay where they are now, if not get better. I just don't want things to get worse. Is my view, because unfortunately we've been doing impacts for the last 100+ years. So we are just doing what we can throughout Guelph as a little community organization, and we'd love anybody's help that would wish to join.
I have another question. I do heritage walks up the Silver Creek, sometimes called the Howitt Creek. You know where that is?
Okay. I don't know where that is, no.
Sort of parallel to Silver Creek Road between Silver Creek and Edinburgh, and it flows into the river, so it's one of the few above ground streams. It's underground to up a bit, up at around Paisley, but I wondered if that stream would have trout in it, or is that part of has anyone done a study on the Silver Creek?
No, I've never even heard of the Silver Creek. I'm going to write that down though. That's
one map calls it a Howitt Creek, so you can see both of that. And it used to be dammed just above Waterloo Avenue. Like it goes under Waterloo Avenue, you can see it. And then it used to be dammed. There's a trail all the way up there. And they took the dam out to drain the big pond. It was a mill pond.
Okay.
And now that pond is all grown in with looks like bulrushes, but it's that other invasive one. But the stream is pretty. It all goes down. It's about, I don't know, 3 feet wide and comes out right it comes into the Speed River just west of the skate park area.
Oh.
So I just wondered to ask if there would be trout in there, or is it just too much citified, urbanized?
Yeah, you know what? That's a great question. I don't know the answer to that.
When you get your puppy, go for a walk up
there. That's a great idea. I'm going to go check that out, actually. You know what? There's always a chance. There's always a chance that they could be there, and hopefully it'd be great if one day all of our tributaries were able to be spawning areas for trout, and other species. So yeah, I can't comment on that. Heard of Silver Creek, but I want to go find it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
I just
no
wanted to know
problem.
about that.
Yeah, thank you. This was fun. I love this event. I like doing it. It's my third, like I said, it's my third year, and it's just fun to come out and, you know,
So people will
share a
watch.
goal.
Yes, and now we have it recorded so they can
Mhm.
watch it and see it, because I think it's great information for people, students, teachers, and little kids too,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
parents to take their children for a walk and talk about the trout.
Yeah, talk
They
about the
might,
trout, talk about what you like about being outside, seeing the grass. Like for me, I really like just being able to I really also enjoy watching birds. So hearing nature, seeing nature, feeling nature is just a
yes.
really nice thing to do with your spare time. You
So
know,
we're just about at the end of our hour. So can I thank
wonderful.
you? Would you like to say any more?
No, I'm all done. Thank you so much for having me. And again, Trout Unlimited Canada and our chapter at the Speed Valley really appreciate the continued event and inviting us for the third year now to come back out and do this. So I get a lot of joy from this, but thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
And we hope that next year I can actually see you in person.
I hope so. I really hope
and
so. I would
and float my boat down the river. That's
exactly.
what
I
I'd
would
like
love to see
do.
that. That would be wonderful. So yeah, no, I really hope next year we can be in person and we can get everybody out and just see what we're doing and be able to get your hands a little bit wet and your soul filled with nature. So it's nice.
That's a good phrase to end on. Souls filled with nature. Thanks so much, Evan.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you again, and have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your
Thank
day.
you very much. We'll
Okay.
go for a walk by the river.
Wonderful. Take care.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.